All right. Hello, everyone. I'm here today with the head football coach at Illinois State University, Brock Spack. Brock, thanks so much for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure, Paul. Enjoy it.
Right on. Well, hey, I mean, we've actually talked before, believe it or not. No one's seen it because the hard drive that I saved the video to crashed. So I was fortunate enough to meet you at Epiphany Catholic Church the other day and say, hey, bad news. The video we did last time got erased.
We got to reschedule.
Exactly, yeah. So I really appreciate you making the time to come on again.
My pleasure. Enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah. So you're the ISU head football coach. How long have you been there, first of all?
I'll be coming on this fall. Will be my 14th season, so I've been there quite a long time. It doesn't seem like that, but I'm a little unusual in the coaching business. You know, we're like gypsies, and guys kind of bounce around. I've never been into that. Like to settle down in a community. I was at Purdue for 22 years, you know, so I've been here 14. So it's just kind of my the way I work. I'm not a big. I picked the wrong profession, right? Because I don't like to move, and but I'll move if I have to. But I really choose not to because I really like it here. We love it here, and the family's done very well here, and my wife has done really well. We've really got a lot of great friends here, and I just it's just a wonderful community, you know. And the schools, you know, I work for great people, so no issues. You know, I don't like to step out of my comfort zone, I guess, if you will.
Mm-hmm. So you've only been to Purdue. You've only coached at Purdue and ISU.
Actually, not. And I should clarify. You know, I was at Purdue several different times. So it's a total of 22. My last time I was there was 12 straight. That's the most I've been there. So this will be the most I've been at one place for the same amount of time. You know, without leaving. I played at Purdue, played pro football briefly, and got cut, came back, was a GA at Purdue. Left, went to Wabash College for 1 year. Then went to Eastern Illinois for 4 years. Our quarterback coach and offensive coordinator, Bob Spook, got the head job there from Purdue. And he's a Chicago guy, and I'm from Rockford. So was there for 4 years, went back to Purdue as a linebacker coach. And then for 4 years, and then Coach Tiller hired me, who's a guy I played for my senior year and GA'd for, and known him since 1983, maybe. He hired me as a defensive coordinator at Wyoming. Went to Wyoming, was there for 2 years, and then Coach Tiller got the job at Purdue, so I went back to Purdue as a coordinator. And my wife grew up 2 blocks from the stadium there. Her dad was a professor of veterinary medicine, and her mom, taught in the School of Art and Design, and she kind of was one of the counselors in the School of Art and Design as well. So she was a Purdue brat and lived right there and stayed in town, went to school, and that's how we met. And so she had never been any place but there. And then we moved around a little bit, but when we came here, I'll never forget it. We were walking our dog Chase. Chase was our fourth golden retriever, and we were walking him around the beautiful night, fall night, and taking him on a walk. And he goes, "You know, this is the best place we've ever lived." I looked at her. I said, "Coming from you, that means something," because I never thought you would want to live anywhere but West Lafayette. But she really enjoys this town, and so do I. So it's I think we. Coming from the outside in, I when people complain about this and that, I say, you should go somewhere else. It's a pretty nice place to live now.
Yeah, no kidding.
Really nice place, and people are great. Opportunities are great. We're not affected. It doesn't seem like it, anyways. Like we're affected by the state of Illinois. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you kind of know what I'm saying. I'm from
sure.
Illinois,
I'm about to have Darren Bailey on one of these days. If you know who Darren Bailey
Interesting.
is.
Yeah, politician, yeah. Right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'd love to have JB Pritzker on sometime, but I don't know if that'll ever happen. But
I doubt it, but we'll never know. Mm-hmm. But I the issues of Illinois, we really don't feel here in our town. This is a very vibrant business community, outside the pandemic, and now it's getting cranked back up again. And like a lot of places, we're making transition, to online things, shopping and all that. The malls aren't busy as they used to be, but still a really wonderful place to go to school, to live, and to work. So I think people have been here their whole life. I think they're very spoiled because this is a really cool place.
I agree completely. Yeah, it's a wonderful place. It seems like your wife said her heart was in West Lafayette. Is that fair to say?
It was, and
now it's
now
here.
It's here. Yeah, she works for Special Olympics Illinois. She has a job there with them, and then she sells real estate on the side, and she loves that part of it. She loves business, and she's really smart with numbers and math, so she loves that kind of stuff. But she's really been ingrained in the community and really enjoys it. So, and ironically, she didn't get a job because of this, but Special Olympics was our special group. All when I first came here, all the sports had a group they would sponsor or support. Philanthropy type thing. You'll do community service, and ours was. I liked it. Was Special Olympics. We tried to get our players involved with that. I think it's really important. They understand how lucky they are to be as gifted as they are as athletes, and it was really good. We worked a little bit with the humane society. I love dogs, so we worked a little bit with them as well. But mostly it's done with Special Olympics. My wife there was a job open. She got a job there, so she really enjoyed it. She works for great people there, and it's cool setup for her.
That's awesome, yeah. And 4 golden retrievers. Yeah, you must like dogs.
Yeah, we're on number 5. Believe it or not.
Oh
yeah,
my goodness.
Chase passed away. We're number 5. I think we're 4. I think Chase was 3. Now we got 4 and 5 now. We have 2, and Reggie and Vinny. My wife named Vinny after Vince Lombardi. So, and then my daughter and her husband and her 2 daughters have a golden named Kirby. And then we bought that for them for an engagement present. And then Kavik is Brent and Nicole, my son and daughter-in-law. That's their golden. He looks like a polar bear. And we got him for the same thing. It was a kind of engagement type thing. We're saying first. So we love golden retrievers. So there can be 4 of them running around the house. Both kids are there. So it can get wild.
Oh, I am sure, and a lot of poop. I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
big poops from big dogs.
Dad'll. Mom, my wife will send me outside. Hey, you gotta do poop pickup. So it when it's cold. It makes it a little easier. You know what I mean?
Right.
Hockey pucks.
That's right. Easy cleanup.
Yeah, easier done.
Well, hey, you mentioned in this story, and just what little we've said already, you mentioned that you played pro football for a while. Tell me about that.
Real briefly. I was with the Dallas Cowboys, and
wow.
I had an opportunity to play there, and got cut the last cut, and then they won. The linebacker coach and I talked for a long time, and they're great people. Coach Landry. That was the end of his. Basically, he's near the end of his career, and the Cowboys were going downhill at the time, and he said that, if you want to, I know you want to coach, and you have high school. I can teach high school social studies. I can get you a job right here in Dallas. You can train and stick right next to us, and we can, maybe bring you back again next year, or if some injuries happen, we can bring you back. And I just thought, I had a GA slot open at Purdue, and it was going to close pretty quickly. And I said, I think it's probably time that I move on and start coaching, So I really wanted to coach, and I was kind of beat up towards the end of my career and had a lot of issues with health and all that. But appreciated it. High school football in Texas is really good, but decided to go back and we just got married, and we've been away from my wife for a couple months, and I said it's time to get my feet in the ground and get going in my career, because that's just if I play another year or 2, this puts me behind, the career I want to get into, and that's coaching, and I'd have to start at a later age. Obviously the money would have been fine, but I love to play, but it was kind of my time to move on, I think, and so I moved on and got into coaching, and I wanted to play as long as I could, and I wanted to coach. I've been coaching ever since. This will be my 39th season in college. So back in '84, I was 22 years old and got cut and went back to coaching. So it was kind of a cool deal.
So
the experience playing pro football is cool. It was neat. And it's like a lot of things in life. It's not what you think it is. Sometimes, and it can be really difficult, and and sometimes the people can be interesting and difficult.
What do you mean by that?
Well, just there's a lot of egos, and I don't handle egos very well. We're big egos anyways, and that there's a lot of that, in pro football. So
you seem like a humble guy, just from what little I've talked to you.
Yeah, I try to be. I mean, I'm not really don't want to be the center of attention. Don't really like that much, but I know I am the face of the program here, but I'm not a big fan, and I don't really like that very much. I'd rather put our players on posters and all that stuff. I'd rather stay out. I don't want to be the first guy running down the hill and out through the smoke and all that stuff. I'd rather let the players do all that, and I do it but I've had surgery now, as you know, and I couldn't run last year, and I'm probably not going to run anymore. So you won't see me out in front anymore.
What was your surgery on?
I had a reconstruction. I had to reconstruct my foot. Basically, I had an injury in college, and they fixed it so I could play. But science has kind of caught up to it, so they've changed some things and some new procedures that makes it a little better. And it just fell apart, And had a lot going on. Had a 4-hour surgery. Had to fix it, and I was going to wait till I was retired actually, but decided to do it. It was starting to affect other joints because I limp so much, and so I said. The doctor said, I'm going to put you in a truck and take you myself. If you don't get this done, you probably got to get done now.
Right.
So I had a break here, and didn't go to the playoffs this year, so it was a good time. And and that, month and a half or so with Christmas, I was able to have surgery on the 15th, go through. I had to be on my back for a while, so got all that out of the way, and by the time the guys got back here, I could at least have a cast, and I was getting around. But now the cast is off. I'm in a shoe, and we're moving forward.
Right. Well, good for you. Glad you're doing better now. But it's like talking about serious foot injuries like that, it's exactly the same as when you're looking at a skyscraper, it having a damaged foundation. The foundation is everything when it comes to any structure, a human body or a large building. You got to get that taken care of, and it's such a sensitive area, the smallest little crack, the smallest little impurity, if you want to call it that, can really wreak havoc on everything that's above it, which is everything in your body. It's
unbelievable, really, and it's hard to get what you find out about foot surgery. I've had 7 operations for other issues, but when you're in college, you play football as long as I did. Sometimes you have those things happen, but the older you get, you start breaking down, and there's a lot goes into that foot, and those bones aren't very big,
Right.
Oh my God, I don't know how many screws I got in my foot right now. I'm gonna send off every metal detector probably within 100 miles. I got a lot of screws in there, but it fell apart, and they had to rebuild it, and then I started limping a lot, and then my hip was bothering me, and my back started bothering me, and he said, when other joints got affected, like you said, you gotta get it fixed. So I got it fixed finally. So, right. But I've been limping a lot still, so I gotta try to stop limping. So we'll get there.
Yeah, it's a complicated game to play. I feel like
kind of flip a coin sometimes, but
yeah,
I think it'll be the best thing for me.
If a foot goes bad on one side, you get it fixed, and you're still limping on it. It's like sometimes you almost have to hinder the other foot so that your now freshly fixed foot can get used to taking on most of the weight. It's complicated.
I'm learning how to walk again, walking without pain, and I don't have as much pain. It's just uncomfortable sometimes when it swells. So I'm basically learning how to walk heel to toe again. And it's different, and it'll blow up a little bit. It swells up, because you haven't used those things in a long time. And I'm walking differently. I got used to having an injury. And now I'm used to it. Now I have a more normal foot, and for 40 years I've walked a certain way, and now it's changed again. So I got to kind of reteach myself how to walk, basically.
Awesome. Well, hey, I want to ask you in 1 second about your pro football career. I want to know kind of some more details about that. But first,
it wasn't very long. It won't take very long.
Okay, sounds good. Well, I'm very interested, and before we get to that, I want to give a quick shout out to a few sponsors, which are Ultra Physical Therapy in Lexington, Illinois, and Hoffman's Lakers in Fairbury. So here's a quick word from them. Newsflash, no one likes being injured or being in pain. And if you're suffering from joint or muscle pain or recovering from a sports injury or a recent surgery, Ultra Physical Therapy in downtown Lexington, Illinois is here to help. They are a locally owned physical therapy company that can treat everyone from the star cheerleader to the farmer getting ready for harvest to the professional office worker to the grandmother who wants to be able to play with her grandchildren. The therapists at Ultra Physical Therapy have a combined 25 years of experience and are trained in cutting-edge interventions, including dry needling, blood flow restriction training, cupping, and the use of massage and joint manipulation. They are also skilled in developing exercise and rehabilitation programs to get you back to doing all the things that you love to do. So free yourself from those aches and pains that are slowing you down and give them a call at 309-365-2500 to schedule an appointment or just to ask questions.
Come to Ultra Physical Therapy in Lexington and we'll keep you moving.
Right, that was Ultra Physical Therapy. They are great people. They know what they're doing. They're great at fixing up people who have injuries like Brock here. But here's a quick word from Hoffman's Little Acres. Hoffman's Little Acres is a family-owned and operated farm in Fairbury, Illinois that raises their animals the way God intended. They sell meat and dairy products as well as eggs, honey, and locally renowned goat milk soap alongside other popular bath products. And it's all sourced from their very own wholesome farmstead. Reconnect with where your food comes from when you come and visit this fun family farm where the animals have names, not numbers. Animal visits in the spring and summer by appointment only. That's Hoffman's Little Acres in Fairbury, Illinois, a wholesome family farm. Hey, so we were just watching that Hoffman's Little Acres commercial, and you seemed pretty interested in it. Like why is that?
My granddaughters, they love animals, and their great grandfather was my wife's dad when he was alive was a vet and a professor of veterinary medicine at Purdue. So yeah, we like going. That looks like a cool place. I like to hang out there.
Yeah,
maybe take the girls over while I go watch the races on some night.
That's what I'm talking about. Seems like a wonderful evening.
Yeah.
But so we just left off before the commercial break. I wanted to ask more about your professional football career, although it was short-lived. Yeah.
Short.
So did you play any full season
scrimmages?
Games?
We had scrimmages, and I didn't play in the season. Scrimmaged, played against the Rams and Oakland Raiders, and at that time the Cowboys trained in Thousand Oaks, California. Now they have a beautiful facility, Jerry's World, and right where we played in Frisco for the national championship. It's right next door, basically. That's where they have their facility now. But back then they'd go out to the basically Thousand Oaks. It's kind of a desert area. It's very dry in there. It's hot, but you could feel the breeze come up off the ocean, come up the mountain ranges through the valleys, and it was like air conditioning. It was really kind of a cool place. No bugs. It's really
that's
kind of neat. Yeah, it's kind of neat, and it's a little different for us from the Midwest, but it was hot, in the afternoon. It'd get triple digits, We'd go out there and listen to the heat, but by the time in the practice in the afternoon, it was fairly comfortable. What I remember, so yeah, it was a neat experience. I'm glad I did it, and it was a way able to. You want to play as at the highest level you can play at, and have an opportunity. Because I knew I was going to coach, and I kind of want to know what how that all worked. And I was really into the X and O stuff and how practices run. And I was always thinking about my coaching career starting, and it was nice to go through that. It's a lot different now. They don't. We were out there for 2 weeks. The rookies were out for 2 weeks, I think, and they beat the snot bubble out of our nose for 2 weeks. It was brutal. I mean, it really was. I mean, we hit every day, and they don't do that in the NFL anymore, So the guys who survived that and survived their several cuts during that time, and they came to training camp when the vets showed up, and we went to work. So it was fun. I hung in there, and I had my moments, and I remember some good plays in practice, and it was a great experience really for me and as a coach. So I kind of know what that's like, and the kind of players that play at that level. I mean, they're really, really talented athletically. It's just a whole different world.
So the way that this works then is like you guys who aren't the veteran players, you kind of get put through the ringer in the preseason just to separate the wheat from the chaff and see who makes it throughout the whole time. People are coming up to you and cutting you one by one type of thing. And
I was an undrafted free agent, so you went in there as a free agent, and the Cowboys had a tendency to take a lot of those kind of guys, and they whittle it down for a training camp, and that's pretty. But the draft picks were there with us, first round or second round. They were doing everything we did, and so they were, there were a couple busts in there, and particularly their first round pick was not very good. I didn't think, and he had a great reputation, but was not, and he didn't make it.
Wow.
He didn't make it very long. If he made it a year or two, I can't remember him even playing much. And he was a bust, and was a great player at LSU, or maybe Texas A&M. His dad played at LSU, but was a very good player. They were really high on him, but he was not a great pro. And then there were a couple of guys, that I was with that were there was another drafted guy that I thought was overrated. Yeah, one great player. Pushed him a little bit, and he could long snap, and that guy was kind of the difference. He had a skill he could do on special teams, and that's how he made it. He long snapped for I think 14 years, but he didn't play a lot of linebacker. He was a backup linebacker, but he wasn't a great linebacker.
Well, that first guy you were talking about, the first round pick. First of all, what round pick were you?
I wasn't picked. I was an undrafted free agent. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay, got it. Well, that first round draft pick that you talked about that didn't make it, what do you think was his tragic flaw, I guess? Why don't you think he made it despite his serious talent and performance at the college level?
Yeah, really good length. He was pretty quick. I just don't think he was, looking back on it, what I remember, I just don't see him as being the athletic enough to make it. It's hard to believe that, right? When you think about the money that goes into evaluating pro players, we dump a lot of money in recruiting, but in the Power 5 is ridiculous. I was at that level for a long time. It's a lot of money, and we make mistakes because we're not. But those guys can go to combines. They can work them out. They have doctors that look at them. I mean, it's just they go through them with a fine tooth comb. It's hard to believe you miss, but when the pads go on, some guys just are better than others, and they're not. Yeah, they run fast. They bench out. They get strong, but they don't play that fast, and they don't play that strong, and it's just weird. He was a really good athlete when you watched him, but when he played football, what I remember, it's been a long time, but I think he lacked the athletic ability to be a great one, and he was very long and angular, which was unusual back then, but he was 6'4" maybe, and but there are some guys who were 7th, 6th round picks, free agents that were better than him. You could tell, and you think, oh, this guy's gonna. And you spend a lot of money on a guy like that, but it just shows you if they do in the NFL, how we ask a college coach to be right all the time. We don't have that kind of resources to make those kind of evaluations. So it's very interesting. So that's the cool thing about playing there and having friends in the NFL, and you go up and see what it takes to be a pro. These kids have no idea. And you try to tell them, and they just don't listen sometimes. They say, Coach, you don't know. Coach, you don't know. Okay. I've had 42 draft picks, guys who I've coached that were really good players. So I've seen guys that play at this age that what they look like, and you're not it. And they don't want to live with that sometimes. They don't think that.
So first of all, what was it like when you got cut? How did that feel? And then how do you cut guys now?
I don't cut guys very often. Sometimes we don't do that. But some guys who can't protect themselves, or they're, it might be a walk on wasting their time. I don't want to kid to get hurt if he's wasting his time. And sometimes I cut a guy because he doesn't do what he's supposed to do academically or has an issue, socially, and he has to, can't get right. So he's got to go. But I don't like that part of my job. Really hate that part. I hate being a bad guy, but it seems like I'm a bad guy all the time. I hate being the bad guy, but it's got to stop somewhere. And because I'm protecting all the good guys. I got to protect all the guys doing the right thing.
That's right.
And that's kind of what I do. But I really just like that. And the older I get, the more angry I get when that happens. I get mad at the player, don't, because sometimes the players will twist it like it's my fault you're sitting in this room across from me and you're getting let go because something I did. No, this is something you did or didn't do. So it's kind of our world right now, right? They're victims and all this kind of crap. Hey, wasn't my fault. Come on now.
Is that true? Is it like, have you noticed a shift? You've been coaching for a while. You've been working with the youth for a while, these college kids. You have a front row seat to the changes, the cultural changes in this demographic. Is there more of a victim mentality, maybe more of a I deserve this or a complaining mentality, would
Correct.
you say? Or you think so?
Yeah.
It's not just a rumor?
No.
Okay.
No, there is. And our guys right now, I have some really good kids over there right now. They're really good kids. I really enjoy them. We'll see if we're talented enough. I think we'll be talented enough to make in the postseason this year. Right? That we have a very gifted quarterback. I think it's going to help us a lot. But
Minnesota guy, right?
Right. But the older I get, the more I want to surround myself with good people. One, but guys who love the sport and do things right off the field as well as on it. And our guys don't do that. They're not perfect. We have. Every semester there'll be, I call it the dirty dozen. There's a dozen guys on the list that don't do this, don't do that. Not horrible, but just being kids, and that's easy to deal with. But I don't like when it's spun on, it's your problem. This is somebody else's fault. No, and no, it's not. It's your fault.
Right.
And they don't like to hear that sometimes, and don't like to get to that point, but give guys a lot of opportunity sometimes to get to that point. If you get to that, I worked for a great coach at Purdue named Joe Tiller, and he's a Hall of Fame coach over at Purdue, a really good coach, and he said, it's hard to get in my doghouse, but when you get in it, it's hard to get out, and that's kind of where I'm at in my career now. I have a lot of his traits. Good traits, and I have some of his bad ones, and that's one of them. You get in my doghouse, it's hard to get out because I don't think you should ever put if you truly love something, if you love doing something, like let's say football, why would you ever put that in jeopardy by something you did or didn't do that you're supposed to do? Why'd you put that in? I just don't understand that mentality. And we dedicate our lives to this. Those kids from 18 to 22, 23 years old, they dedicate their life to this. And the coaching staff, this is what we do. We dedicate our lives to this. And if you're not in, it's hard for guys to really, your teammates to stomach that. Mm-hmm. So.
And one of my biggest pet peeves, I've never coached football, but I've coached wrestling plenty, is when these kids refuse to take accountability for their own mistakes and their own shortcomings. I despise that. It's making excuses, really, is what it is. Right. I want to ask, what's
being a victim?
Yeah, what's one of your biggest pet peeves? Besides that, or maybe if that's just clean number one.
That's it.
That's what it is.
Yeah, that's number one. I'm not a big fan. And then I'm not. And why if you're a great player? I say, I've been around some great players. A kid like Drew Brees, for example.
Oh, and you would have been around him when you were coaching him.
I was a coordinator on defense. He was our quarterback.
Okay.
And so we had to see him this time of year. We'd be going against him on every Saturday afternoon for a scrimmage. He's a great player. Did it for 4 years, and he's such a good guy. And I don't know why that's so hard. And why you have to make such a spectacle of yourself because you're a great player. It doesn't, is it cool? Yeah, it's cool to be a great athlete, but in the end, you're not coming up with a cure for cancer. You're basically an entertainer, right? It's what you are. You entertain people. And I love guys who are humble and who are really good, and it's fun to be around a guy who's really, really good and is really humble. So that part of it really irks me, and I don't have a lot of patience for kids who have big egos and think, I remember telling a guy one time, hey, you're not one of these guys. I have a wall of fame on my wall, all these kids that I was able to be a part of their coaching and their lives, and they've gone on to do great things in the NFL. So you're not one of them. Oh, no.
How do they take that?
One went, they're not me. Yeah, they're a lot better, and they don't think so. I mean, I got millions of dollars on the wall. I said, you gotta be kidding me, dude. So it's really, really crazy. So.
Interesting. Yeah, it seems like, and that's kind of a world that's foreign to me. The world of actually, not impressively, but just extremely inflated egos. In wrestling, you don't really have that quite, which is the world I'm more immersed in, because you don't have guys making millions and millions of dollars like in the NFL.
Right.
And you don't have the social clout, to use a young people term, that you get with football and playing Division I football and being a star football player, because everyone will pay attention to those guys, the star quarterback and whatnot. Not always the case with the national champion wrestler.
Right.
But I want to ask in just a second about, what it looks like. You talked about kids doing the right thing. You talked about Drew Brees being a great kid, and what it looks like when a kid is doing, the right things. But first, I do have to say a quick thank you to some incredible sponsors, Dave's Supermarket in Fairbury and Fairbury Furniture. Since 1950, Dave's Supermarket in Fairbury has been wowing customers throughout Central Illinois with their unmatched customer service, delectable deli market, beloved grocery carryout service, and many other fortes, which is why they've earned hundreds of 5-star reviews online. Dave's 3rd Street Deli has plenty of seating and is a destination place to meet your family and friends for good food, fun, and fellowship. Not only is their home-style fried chicken here the best around, but you can also enjoy free coffee and 50-cent ice cream every single day. And be sure to check out their Old World Bakery while you're here, where freshly baked goods are prepared every morning. You'll find hundreds of unique and signature items here at Dave's that you won't find anywhere else, like their famous potato salad, ham loaf, and canned meats, just to name a few. Dave's Supermarket is open Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. and offers online shopping and curbside services. Come experience this revered location that puts a super in supermarket when you shop at Dave's in Fairbury, Illinois, wowing the customer for over 70 years. All right, that was Dave's Supermarket. You ever been to Dave's?
I have not.
Have you heard of it? Oh, Dave's Supermarket's the pride of Fairbury. That place is amazing.
I got to stop at Dave's, and I got to go to Hoffman's, right?
That's right.
And I got to go to Speedway.
That's right. Yeah, everyone knows the Speedway,
I'm
too.
a big racing nut, so hopefully the midgets for sprint cars will be over there sometime this summer, and maybe I'll get over there for that. Visit all the 3 spots.
Right. And now I want to tell everyone a quick little bit about Fairbury Furniture in Fairbury, Illinois, Central Illinois' premier furniture store. Fairbury Furniture is Central Illinois' premier furniture store. This family-owned business offers a vast selection of premium furniture items from all of your favorite brands, including Sealy, Best Home Furnishings, Leather Italia, Tempur-Pedic, and Ashley, just to name a few. And right next door to their gorgeous 7,000 square foot furniture showroom, you will find the Fairbury Furniture Mattress Store, home to all of the latest and greatest mattresses in any and all sizes. Also inside Fairbury Furniture is the popular WC Market, a beloved shop that offers an ever-changing selection of unique gifts and fashionable home decor. Here at Fairbury Furniture, the staff is always helpful and friendly, and they are well stocked with all the mattresses, tables, chairs, recliners, couches, and decorative pillows that your heart desires. So make your home interior beautiful, comfortable, stylish, and delightful when you shop at Fairbury's own Fairbury Furniture.
Come on down to Fairbury Furniture, where the furniture rocks.
All right, that was Fairbury Furniture, Central Illinois' premier furniture store. Yeah, we were just talking about there's a lot of great places here in Central Illinois. It's a shame that when people think of Illinois, they think Chicago only.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we felt like in Rockford. For a long time, we're the second largest city in the state, and not anymore, but kind of like we're forgotten, outside Chicago. There's so many cool places in the state, and there's so many things, very good people, and I think the state gets a bad rap sometimes,
And it's amazing as far as sheer volume. If you look at a map, the majority of Illinois is red, in deep red, and it's just like a tiny little blip up in the top is blue, and it's practically a different world,
Yeah.
It's like extremely Democratic, extremely left, and then the rest of this whole massive state of Illinois is very much right and Republican and whatnot. So it's very interesting. There's different worlds within the same state.
I will tell you, Wisconsin's very similar to that. Having a lake home, lake place we go up through there. My parents live up there now, and Madison's that way, but all the surrounding areas is rural and farm. It's just a very different dynamic. It's really interesting how that. Just fascinating if you study social groups and all kind of things like that. It's just how that all works. But we live in the greatest country in the world, in my opinion. But
you're darn right.
We have our differences, but we shouldn't hate each other over opinions, right?
That's absolutely right.
I don't understand the hatred over. If I disagree with you, you hate me. Really, over something like that. It's kind of stupid.
I had this brilliant political mind on the show not too long ago, and we likened the right and the left, the Democrats, Republicans, the conservatives, the liberals, a lot to parents, a mom and a dad. And the mom, the stereotypical mom's kind of the bleeding heart that wants to help, that wants limited suffering, and the stereotypical dad is hard-nosed, you get what you earn, a little tougher, and the only thing you deserve is what you earn type of thing. And what makes a great relationship, a great parent group, is one, their ability to communicate, because that's a cornerstone of every relationship. So you have to communicate. The right and the left have to communicate in order to bring up either an entire society, an entire nation in the right way with balanced philosophies and whatnot. And just the same, parents have to bring up their kids with the right balance of things. But first and foremost, you need communication. You can't hate each other, I would say.
Correct. And we're all educators in college, obviously, and even as coaches, we're educators. We want our guys to think freely and to be able to make their own decisions. But it's very interesting, and I remember you hear about the Ronald Reagan era, in the White House, and his best friend was Tip O'Neill.
Mm-hmm. Who was what on the other?
He was Speaker of the House, and he was Democratic.
Right. Okay.
And this is a story, anyways. That when they had issues and they were trying to push things through Congress or whatever, he'd call or Senate. He'd call Tip O'Neill and say, "Listen, Tip, come on over the wall. We got to talk this out." And
amazing.
That's how. And they're best friends. And could you imagine that today?
I know. That's what I'm trying to do with this podcast. Have people on from different with opposing views.
Yeah. Just listen. Just be. Yeah. So, anyways.
That's a good story. I didn't know that about Reagan, actually.
That's what I've heard. I'm not sure it's true, but that's the rumor out there, and I've heard about that. But we can still be friends, right?
That's absolutely right. And we're kind of talking about.
I don't get why we can't be friends. We're all Americans.
You're right, absolutely right. And that kind of leads me to we're talking about doing the right thing, even when the right thing's difficult. But when you're talking about want your kids,
usually the right thing is very difficult.
You think so?
Sometimes it is.
Well, what's it look like when you want your kids, your players doing the right thing off the field, on the field even? What's the right thing?
It's you have to, there's a standard, and do you put up with this? And you're talking about a kid's life sometimes, if you tell him to take a hike, and then now what happens to him? That always worries me, when you do something like that, but then you look at all the guys doing the right thing now, and I think of, myself when I was a player, I would never put myself in a position ever to lose my starting job because I did something off the field, or I get kicked out of school or lose my scholarship. I would never, ever do that. And you kind of wonder, well, you put yourself in a spot. This is the only way you're going to learn, So it's sometimes you hope when they're 35, it's the best thing ever happened to me, you know, and they say, hey, that's the best thing ever. I've had a couple kids tell me that. Not everybody. I'm sure some guys out there aren't very happy with me, but that's okay. You know, but I've had guys come back and say, hey, listen, that was the best thing ever happened to me, because I woke up and I lost something I really loved, and I thought I loved, but I thought I was doing the right thing, but I wasn't, and it woke me up. So, you know, so it's very interesting.
Sometimes when a building is crumbling, its foundation's bad, it's best to knock down the whole thing, let it hit rock bottom so you can build a new foundation the right way.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that happens, and it happens sometimes in any organization, but it's happened in ours. Where you build it and you're very successful, going for a national championship, and then it goes a little south. That wasn't quite as good, and people start getting a little arrogant, so to speak, and there need to be change, and guys need an attitude adjustment, and sometimes it happens. I hate to do that, but I've done that, now the third time, here, after the 19 season, we had the best team I've ever had here in 2020, never played, and COVID was really bad for us, and all the stuff that happened with that, and then we're rebuilding our program right now, and I think we'll be much better this fall than we were last year. But you're right. Sometimes you have to rebuild the foundation. The foundation cracks, and you have to rebuild it.
Right.
You got to start from the bottom up.
I want to ask though, because
like
give some examples. Give some real examples of what it looks like when a kid's doing the right thing, like the right things off the field. What would you be extremely happy to hear that some of your students or some of your players have been doing off the field?
Well, I want to be kind. These kids are bigger, uglier, tougher than everybody that walks around the campus. Everybody knows you're a football player by the way you look, usually. And you just compound that, and then there's stereotypes that, well, he's just a dumb football player, a dumb jock. And then if you don't do the right thing, you're not getting your work done, or you're not doing your part in a project, or you're part of a group or whatever. You just okay, that label sticks, and we're guilty by association. All of us are, and that's not the case. We have great students in our football program, and so one guy or two guys can make it look really bad for the other 100 because for that professor or that person, whoever it is, a guy or a gal who was a student, and maybe you treat them wrong in a social setting, and they buy a ticket. Now they're not going to buy a ticket. They're not going to support you, So it's those things you got to learn. That's part of life. You have to be a good person. Just because you play football doesn't make you better than everybody else. It makes you different. You're different. Your life's different, but you're not better because you're this big bad football player. That's where I think we have some good guys. I've had a lot of great kids that in my career, and that's when I'm done coaching, I'll remember those guys, and that's what you do this for. But every so often there's a guy I think he's pretty special, and that's the guy I'm not a big fan of, even if he's a great player. I'm not really high on big egos. I think eventually it's gonna come back to haunt you. It's gonna bite you.
That's
somewhere.
The truth too.
It will. And that's anything in life. And I've had people call me that. Because I'm not whatever. I didn't say hi to him at church or whatever. No, he's arrogant. No, I'm not arrogant. I didn't know who you were. And that's part of life. And when you're in those situations, that people can take pot shots at you. It's okay. But I'd rather than take pot shots at me than our players, because I think our players work so hard, and the majority do everything right. They work their butt off, and they work hard, and you want to help them, and they're going to make a mistake now and then. That's part of college. You went to college, right? You understand. Part of college is failing, and sometimes in our culture right now in our country, we don't allow our kids to fail. The helicopter parents, the kids, they got to make sure that Johnny's going to have a ribbon or a trophy at the end of this. Well, it's good to fail sometimes. It really is. You learn from failure, and you'll fail in college. You'll fail in school. You'll fail. You'll have failure. You have to. It's not what happens to you that's important. It's how you respond, whether it's good or bad. Whether you have something good happen to you or bad happen to you, the way you respond will dictate how it goes forward.
Yeah, look, I've said this so many times on the show. I love this analogy, and I don't know where it came from. I might have just drawn it up in my own head, but it's like we're all this crude iron. Each one of us is like crude iron from the ground. And how do you make steel? Well, you take that crude iron, you put it into these flames, these terribly difficult circumstances, and then you bang the heck out of it to remove all these impurities. And as long as that iron doesn't break, it comes out the other side refined steel that's way stronger, way more pure, and can be used for a ton of more important projects of all sorts, and it can be a force for good. It's all about not breaking when the going gets rough, and learning. That's learning from the difficult circumstances you find yourself in, and failing and learning and picking yourself back up. It's like each difficult circumstance is an opportunity to enhance yourself as a person.
Right.
It's just all about responding in the right way.
I don't think I try to tell our guys, I hope that some of the things that happen to you as an athlete here, if it's a bad thing, that's as bad as it gets. But I'm more than likely there's going to be some really tough times down the road. We all have them. Okay, it could be a death in the family. It could be you lost your job, or the company shuts down, or whatever, or your wife leaves you, or So there's all kinds of issues.
The real battles.
The real battles, and how you respond to that. Are you going to quit? Are you going to fold your tent? Are you going to compete? I remember a kid came back at Purdue. It was one of my linebackers that was a little. I call him spirited. Let's just call him that. and he was kind of a pain in the butt, And he came back. He's in his 30s, mid 30s. He said, "Coach, I want to thank you and Coach Tiller." Coach, our head coach, because he's about, he obviously makes all the final decisions, but for not kicking me off the team when I was here, I was a complete idiot, and you guys could have done that. And I went on, and I became an alcoholic, a drug addict. I lost my family. I lost my job. I lost my house, and I had to pick it all back up. And you hope that doesn't happen. You hope you prevent that. But he said, the experiences as a player, bouncing back, I'm not remarried, but I have a great gal. I love him. I'm really good to my kids. I've a new job. I'm in an AA. I've been in rehab, and it's you don't want to hope you don't have many of those, but there's a chance you will. You coach as many kids as you do, and you hear him say that. It was hard, but he said the good news is I'm doing really well right now. So he bounced back.
He didn't break either.
He didn't break.
He
didn't break. He made huge mistakes, and sometimes it's hard to get out of that lifestyle you're in, but it's going to take you down the wrong path, and eventually it's going to catch up to you, as you know. You better do the right thing, and we all know what the right thing is. As I tell our guys, I mean, come on, you guys are grown men. You say you're grown men. You should know the difference between right and wrong.
Right.
If I have to tell you that, then we have an issue. I mean, so the difference between right and wrong. So
right. And then what's done in the dark will be brought to the light. And if you're not ready for that dark thing to be brought to the light, well, then stop doing it. It Correct. Will come back to haunt you eventually.
I mean, we've all done stupid stuff.
Darn right.
I mean, I'm not sitting there saying I'm an angel. I did really stupid stuff. Thank God they didn't have social media then.
That's a problem.
Problem.
That's a dangerous world for any student athlete or any kid that has anything on the line, because their lives are going to be on social media.
I don't like it, and I really dislike it, because the egomaniacs out there to get all these scholarship offers and say, "Look, I've been offered this, guys." And they pump themselves up and do all that stuff, and then there's everybody's a reporter. That's what the kids, if they're out and they're doing something that they're not supposed to do, or they're not thinking straight because they have too much to drink or whatever they've done. Now they make bad decisions, and then everybody's a reporter. They just click that phone on and it says, "Photo." Everybody's a reporter, and all of a sudden that gets out there. And it's hard for these guys to recover from some of the stupid stuff they do, and that's the difference between when I was in school and when these kids are in school. So I'm very happy I went to school when I did. So.
Well, I want to ask you in just a sec about, the transfer portal. We haven't even talked about the transfer portal. And then I want to ask about, your love for football, a fundamental question here. And I want to ask that all in just 1 second.
Sure.
But first, I got to give a quick thank you to Aftershock Decals and Design, who is looking for a new salesperson. So listen up. Hey you, are you a sharp, independent, charismatic person living in central Illinois? Are you looking for an exciting job with flexible hours where you will hone your sales, communication, and marketing skills and only occasionally be asked to come to a physical location in Fairbury? Well, Aftershock Decals and Design is a premier graphic design studio that's looking for a part-time salesperson to join their growing team. So whether you're a student looking to get some valuable experience while pursuing your degree, or a stay-at-home mom who's craving some part-time work and extra income, or someone who's just sick and tired of working an 8-to-5 desk job, this position could be exactly what you're looking for. I've ordered from these guys a number of times, and they are so wonderful, and there's a reason they're adding to their sales crew, and it's because they are making tons of great graphics and prints and products, and they're growing every year. So become a better salesperson and make some serious moolah when you email your resume to KIRK, that's Kirk, KIRK at aftershockdd.com, or apply online at aftershockdd.com/jobs to begin what might be your dream career. That's Aftershock Decals and Design. They are wonderful.
And I'm not a big fan of that either. You know, you give credit to your players. You know, they're the ones that, you know, I got great coaches, but I don't, you know, they're good. That's why they're good coaches. They don't take the credit.
And we're back from commercial. I just wanted, you know, we were just talking briefly about, you know, it seems like the general message you're giving to your guys is just don't be a jerk, you know, or and what were you kind of saying there? Repeat yourself if you would. I said, like, you know, you basically don't want your guys to be a jerk, and then what'd you say?
I can try to remember what I said.
I know it was like a side talk during the commercial.
Well, you know, you just can't. You know, you don't want to. You have other people you're representing with. You know, it says Illinois State football on it. You know, and when you go on, when you do something stupid and you make a jerk out of yourself, you know, it labels everybody with you, associated with you the same way. You know, I think that's what I was talking about. I can't remember, but. I'm just not a big fan of that. You know, I just it bothers me, you know, when kids don't just you know, when you know how cool it is. Like I said before, how cool it is to be a really good player and a really good guy. I mean, how cool that is, because you get tired of the people with big egos like that. I mean, it just wears people out. You know?
Right.
I just don't, because you're, like I said before, I don't think you're not better than everybody else. You're just different. So I just understand that.
And I'm curious to ask about this, you know, because, yeah, you're not better than anyone. Each and every one of us is infinitely valuable. And that's kind of a core pillar philosophy in Catholicism. And I talked about, I saw you, we scheduled this conversation at church, at Epiphany Catholic Church here in Normal. Is your Catholic faith, how long have you been Catholic, and is that an important part of your coaching or just how you live life?
That's a very interesting. My dad just passed away, so it's kind of a very interesting story. That's okay. He was raised Catholic, and my mom was Presbyterian, so they went back and forth, you know, and she said, I'll convert. Now so he did, you know. So I was raised basically in a Presbyterian home, and when I went to college, the St. Thomas, the Catholic church, was real close to my dorm, so I just walked across the street, and that's how I got into it. But then I met my wife is Catholic, so I made the transition over to being Catholicism, and it was, and I like the structure, you know, but we all sit at the same table. I mean, it's very similar. It's just, you know, it's how there are things that are different, obviously, how you choose to worship and all that. But I think it's, you know, we all sit at the same table. Why can't we just get along? You know,
Mm-hmm.
but that's where I like the structure of the Catholic Church, and it really, I try to get to daily mass as often as I can. You know, some days I can get in, some days I can't. But try to be as consistent as I can be. But because it kind of brings you back to center and kind of brings you back to what's important. And I just like the structure. You know, I'm a structured guy, and the structure of the church is interesting. And I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Daily mass, that's no laughing matter. That's a serious thing. I don't go to daily mass. I'm a devout Catholic myself, but I don't know the last time I went to daily mass, probably at least a few months ago. I should go more.
Sometimes my players find that out and they go, you go to church every day? Try to? Yeah, he goes, you need to. So I get it, but yeah, I need to. So that's probably why I go every day.
Did you go through like RCIA classes and
I
everything?
did. Yeah, I did.
Impressive.
At Purdue. Did all that at Purdue. Sure did.
Oh, at Purdue. So you were just a young man when you made that transition. I forgot.
Yeah, I was still in college. Man. My wife and I were engaged. I think we were juniors in college at 21. So got married at 22 and been married ever since. So.
Well, good for you, and we're glad to have you in the church, the world's biggest sect of Christianity. So
yeah, it's great.
And I want to ask now about a bit of a topic change. The transfer portal, it's a relatively new thing. So is the name, image, and likeness ordeal in college athletics. What do you think about all that? A bit of a loaded question there, but
yeah,
what
I don't think
thoughts?
much of it, to be honest with you. I've seen the transfer portal being described as a way for teach a kid how to quit, and but the transfer portal giveth, and the transfer portal taketh away. So we have to. There are some situations where the kid should have a right to leave. Especially if there's a coaching change, I think a kid should have a right to leave. But sometimes third parties get involved. Either it's dad, mom, whatever, AU basketball, whoever. I call them street agents, get involved, and they put sweet nothings in these guys' ears and they don't know what they're talking about, and they leave. I saw a statistic here the other day where there's 29% of all the Power 5 guys in the portal right now, football, have scholarship offers.
What percent say that?
29%.
Okay.
So they just walked away from scholarships and to go get a better one, supposedly, or a better place, or a better situation, and a lot of them don't find homes.
Is there a penalty for up and leaving out of nowhere?
Yeah, you lose scholarship.
So that much, and then you
at the end of the
risk.
semester.
But you do that in hopes that you'll either get another scholarship, right? But it's just like sometimes you don't. How often do you leave a scholarship and not get a replacement one, or at least a lesser one, would you say? Do you know those numbers? Or
I don't know. I just told you 29% of in football, those guys don't find. That would be that find and have another offer. Only 29%. So I would say out of our guys, I don't know, a better situation, maybe one or two, one a year maybe. And of the 12 guys that go out, usually we've had 10 and 12. I think one guy in each class probably.
But
it's not very likely.
But they don't have to like sit out a year or anything for.
Not anymore.
They used to.
One-time transfer. You get one-time transfer now. You can transfer once. Will not pay a penalty.
Wow, interesting.
And they don't have to talk to me.
You don't have to talk to you. You can find out through the grapevine that hey, this person's in the portal.
Correct. And the compliance officer calls, hey, such and such just went in the portal, so you know, coach. Oh, thank you. And had a kid this year went in the portal, never saw me. I think that's really bad business. And what
kind of lesson does that teach?
I don't know. Not a very good one. Look guy in the eye and tell him why you're not coming back, and you just walk out.
Well,
that's what we're breeding right now.
I want to play devil's advocate. Can you steel man? There's straw manning conversations, like you can. But can you steel man? Can you build up the arguing side of this? Like, what do they think? What's people that are pro transfer portal?
Here's what they say. Well, coaches can leave anytime they want, so we should be able to too.
What do you say to that?
I say, well, we have contracts, and if we leave before that contract's up, there's a penalty, and someone's got to pay for that. And if it's the coach, or the coach is responsible if he leaves, but usually it's the other school that pays for that, and so it's usually a nice little piece of cash, so there's a penalty to be paid. What penalty are you paying? Now there's no penalty.
At least in the first transfer, there's nothing.
Nothing. Right. So that would be that's their complaint. Yeah, coaches leave all the time. And I get it. If your head coach leaves or your position coach, you probably should give that kid an opportunity to leave. I get it. I don't know what the answer is, but we don't go backwards. We make decisions like this. But they're making there's a lot of kids out there making really bad decisions, really bad. And they're making bad decisions. You try to tell them they're making bad decisions, but they don't. They're not me.
Right.
Get that. Okay. Yeah, you're not.
They're very young people. I mean, these are kids fresh out of high school.
That particular player never played again.
Really?
Yeah, he got a bigger scholarship but never played.
Wow.
But he's so good.
My goodness.
Yeah, never played again.
Sheesh.
And there's a lot of kids that don't get scholarships. They don't play again. They're done. And they're giving up one. How about that? But
lesson. Oh, I guess what is a lesson learned? Really, it's just like you're given an awful lot of, I don't want to say freedom in the wrong way, but it's like you're given a lot of, you're letting these young kids make very important choices on their own without any counseling.
They're not adults. They're not grown men yet, and women. And they think they are, but they're not.
Right.
And they need a little guidance.
I can respect that.
I do too. But they're not growing up yet. They think they are. I'm a grown man. Well, what are you in my office for then? For this issue? If you're a grown man, we shouldn't be talking about this.
Right.
If you're a grown man, and you're not, so don't. You're still a kid. So figure it out.
When it comes to your coaching style, you're working with these guys. A lot of times they have egos, or at least they're very confident at the least. How do you get them to buy into what you're saying and do what you want them to do? I guess to put it very simply, how do you get in these guys' heads? How do you earn their respect?
Harder.
Yeah,
because it's they don't. Sometimes they don't really care what you've done in the past or who you've coached or what you've done. So how can what's about me? Well, how can you help me? So. You have to kind of explain yourself, and you got to tell them why. This is why we're doing this. Whether it's a technique, whether it's a scheme, whether it's kind of protocol, why we're doing these things. This is why we do this way. Because if you don't, this is what's going to happen. And sometimes, most of the time, kids file. Yeah, I shouldn't paint a bad picture because most of our guys are great and they got great parents and no issues. But every so often it happens, there's one or two in every year that just make really bad decisions. And
when you say make really bad decisions, do you mean off the field or what?
Everywhere. Both on the field and off. You don't change. Your discipline doesn't change. If you're undisciplined in the classroom, you're gonna be undisciplined on the football field. Or vice versa. So that's why when I can't trust you when you walk out of our building to go out and live, and now so we don't have to hold your hand, we can trust you in the community. We want to trust everybody. I'm very trusting. I think, me personally, I want to trust everybody. But when you lose that trust, now it's a problem. That's why they get in that doghouse. It's hard to get out because now you don't trust that guy. I can't believe he did that. But. People deserve second chances, some things, but not everything. So
I heard Olympic gold medalist wrestler Jordan Burroughs say a great quote one time. It's very simple. He said, when it comes to raising his kids, but also coaching at a Nebraska college, he said, be disciplined or be disciplined. Right. Which means, either you be disciplined or you're going to get disciplined. And if you're not disciplined in your social life, you might get disciplined by the law. Right. You might get disciplined by getting cut from the team. Be disciplined or be disciplined. I love that.
You have the pain of discipline or the pain of defeat. And which one do you want to feel?
Oh, pain of discipline all day.
Correct.
Yeah.
And or failure. And the defeat is failure. So you want the pain of failure, or do you want the pain of discipline? And I think that's basically what he's saying to me. That's what that means. And
the choice is yours.
Correct. The choice is yours. And And we all make that choice. And some kids are better players than others. It's just the way it is. Some guys are faster, they're bigger, they're stronger, whatever. But we all can play hard. We all have that ability. Now, we're innately lazy, right, as a human being, and we find our way to make our lives easier every day.
Right.
We go to college. We're trying to make it easier, and it's not natural to go out there and push yourself to do what you do in college. Having an athlete and being a student. And that's what the guys need, or gals too. Whoever's college athletes, they have to understand. Hey, that professor, whoever he or she is, she expects you to be very good in that classroom. She expects you to do your very best. And that's not asking a whole lot, to do your best. All right. Now, what your best is may be different than everybody else, but do your best. As is the football coach or the women's volleyball coach, they expect you to be your very best. That's important. And I don't know. So I don't know what you guys don't get about that. This person has put their heart and soul into this. This subject matter they teach, that's really important to them. And when you don't pay attention, when you come late to class, when you turn things in, homework in late, or you turn it in not very well done, it's a slap in their face, because they love that subject matter, because that's what they teach, and they love to teach, and they love that. So that's disrespectful. And just like, would you come to football practice late? No. Would you tell your coach, hey, I'm not gonna execute the technique the way you want me to, because I'm gonna do it my way? Well, you're not gonna play. Well, same thing in classroom. I mean, that professor, that teacher, she wants you to be, she loves this subject. And now you may not love it as much, but you need to show us the respect that, hey, we need to get this done right and do what she asks. And sometimes they don't do that. You know what I mean? So right. I'm not sure I did that all the time, but I as you older you get, I mean, it's that simple, in my opinion. I mean, it's this person sitting up here has put their whole life and soul into this, and when you don't do what the minimum work level to get a decent grade in a class, that's pretty embarrassing, number one, but it's a disrespect to that instructor.
Mm-hmm. And these guys are also role models. Like it
Correct.
or not, they're in a leadership position in the classroom.
Correct.
If they show respect, other people are more than likely going to show respect, and
right.
the world's going to be a better place because
of it. It's pretty simple. And just be a good guy. I mean, don't
be a jerk.
Right. I mean, not all of us love math, and not all of us love biology, not all of us love whatever, but some people that really do. And if you're taking that subject matter, you need to be all in, because it's important, or else you wouldn't take the class to get your degree. So,
what's your stance on players and going out and partying and drinking? What do you say to all that? Because
not a big fan of it, obviously. I understand. I was in college. I get it. Too much of that is really, really bad, and I don't want to be a whatever, and be a dictator and say, oh, you can't do that. I say stay away from it, and be careful. What you do. Too much of one thing is not good for you. Don't know good or bad. So I just, I'm not a big fan of it, and particularly drugs. I mean, I don't. We're pretty lenient now towards marijuana, which I think is still very bad. And
I'm with you there. I think we jumped the gun on legalizing that.
I do too. But that's my opinion. Doesn't make obviously other people think it's differently. Mm-hmm. But I think it leads to worse things, and I think it leads to bad habits. And if you're an athlete, why would you ever put anything in your lungs? Number one, that's
right.
It's not good for you. And number two, why would you spend that money on that? I don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but. And alcohol is the same thing. Alcohol's a bad deal. You get stuck. Like I said, I'm sure you've known some people in college that have gone on and that have had to go through alcohol rehab, and they thought it was fun when they're in college, but when they get out of college, they can't stop it, and it becomes a real issue. It starts controlling their lives and in a bad way. So
right, and when I think of people that I really look up to in my life, talking about smoking pot and everything. they're not people that are weed smokers. They're not those people. They're not the heavy drinkers. Those aren't the people we look up to. Be someone that you would look up to.
Right.
Do the things, at least this is my opinion, that someone that you would look up to would be doing. And I just don't, I'm not a weed hater type of person, but at the same time, I just don't respect that lifestyle. And
well, I mean, what do those people do who do that? They want to drag you in, so that justifies them loving alcohol or loving marijuana or whatever. That's
a great point.
They just want you. Well, you're a great athlete. See, he's a great athlete. He does,
and he's doing it too.
He's doing it too. So everybody does it. Mm-hmm. No, everybody doesn't do it. Okay, and so that's not true. So I think it takes a special person, in this day and age, to stay away from that stuff. And I don't know how, with social media out there now, I don't know how these high school and junior high kids. I bet the bullying is really bad on social media. I would assume, but it's just
youth suicide rates continue to climb as social media engagement among that demographic continues to increase.
It's terrible. I mean, I don't get it. So, but it is. I don't want you to put yourself in that position.
Right.
Especially you're an athlete, all the work you put in, it's just stupid, Well, I'm not saying being a prude and stay home all the time, but
right,
have fun in college. I get it, but that's moderation,
Mm-hmm. And we've talked about so many different things. I respect your time very much, and we've talked about a lot of interesting things and deep things even. But I want to, as we're winding down this conversation, I want to ask a few questions. I want to ask one main question, and I've got some rapid fire questions I want to hit you with. That'll be a lot of fun. But First of all, why do you love football? If you love football.
I love football, and I've always loved football. Now, my job has made, especially the last 2 years, I haven't loved it as much because there's been a lot of things that have made our jobs as college coaches very, very difficult. And but I still love football. Physicality of the game, I like the physicality. It gives you a guy who plays with a great effort can overcome maybe a lack of ability in certain, but there comes a time where that ability takes over.
Right.
You're going to run into somebody like in high school, as you go through, you're in your local area, you're really, really good, but then you start getting in a tournament or the the playoffs, and you start playing really good teams, and you're not quite as good as you thought you were. But in football, a person who's maybe not as gifted can, because of their effort and toughness, can really, really play. And there's 11 positions on a field, on each side of the ball. So there's more opportunity unless you're a quarterback or a kicker. There's more opportunities to play, and I love that part of it. But the physicality of football, I love it.
The toughness.
Yeah, the toughness. I like hitting people. I like challenging myself during training camp. I thought that was really, and it was miserable sometimes, and it felt like I was going to die sometimes. But it was really good for me in the long run, and I really enjoyed. Once I got through a training camp, I would really be excited about that, and that was an accomplishment, because particularly if you made it through without an injury, that was pretty cool. But just it's probably like being in the military. I hate to say military because there's nothing like being in the military, but making it through boot camp, and now I'm ready for the real thing, and making it through training camp, now I'm ready for the games. But it's just I love the physicality of it. I guess you can hit people and kind of beat them up a little bit, and not go to jail. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of cool.
No, man.
You have to stay within the rules. I get it, but I like the physicality of it, and they don't call fouls. They call penalties, but they don't call fouls. For physical play unless you're late or inappropriate now, I guess, with targeting. But it's a violent game sometimes, and it can be really tough, and it's unbelievably rewarding. but it also can be very, very tough. And people, what I love about football is, and I love about coaching is, I like to watch the walk-on player that comes in, and we got a couple guys that are offensive linemen, for example, and they might not ever play, and I love watching those guys come to work every day. Their Saturday is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, going down there and getting that defense better, or that offense better. And they love, that's their Saturday. I mean, they go out there and play on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and they just love playing. And they may not be the greatest player in the world, but I just love those guys because, and they do it for free because they're not on scholarship, and it's just amazing to watch.
Rare breed of human right there. That's awesome.
God. And when they walk out of your program, they're going to be really successful.
Yep.
Really successful. Those guys are some of the best, most successful people that in any program I've ever been in, as a player and coach, are some of the guys that, they were just hard workers. They'd never hardly ever played, but they love being part of a team, and they understand the importance of being a good teammate and understand what that means. And the work ethic goes behind that to make everybody not everybody can be a superstar. Not everybody's Drew Brees. Not everybody's, first team All-American. Not everybody's going to be a starter. But football, there's a lot of roles you can play, and everybody's role is important. And usually every August, I'll if you're in this room, and it's our first team meeting, you're in this room, whether you're a female trainer or a director of football operations or a male or female GA or student manager or a player or a coach, whoever's in this room is really, really important. You're really important, because if you think you're not, if you think, I'm just a third team guy, I'll never play, you are very, very important, or you wouldn't be here. And I just really think it's important that everybody understands what their role is within the organization, and the great ones, the people who are the meat and potatoes of the program are the ones sometimes you don't even know, and it's like the meat and potatoes of State Farm or their company. They might not be the CEO of the company, but what they do is so important for everybody else because they're great teammates. They get, if these people aren't there, it doesn't work. So we can't go out and prepare if we don't have people to prepare against. Okay, so we got to have guys out there that want to do that, and that's hard to do. But it's the same way in the working world, and the people that embrace that and become really successful, they always have a job.
Right. Those guys you're talking about are built for success. I mean, the people that work behind the scenes that are willing to sacrifice their own time, their energy and effort, and even get beat up for the well-being of the team as a whole. Right. And even when they don't get the spotlight and the recognition that they might deserve, and they just work so hard and they're tough and they're gritty. It's like, yeah, take that to the workforce and be amazed at the type of success those guys can have.
Being a coach and having two children that play college athletics. My daughter was a softball player, and my son was a football player here. I told him, I don't, Alicia, I hope you hit a home run every time you have to play. I really do. But if you strike out every time, I'll still be just as proud of you, okay? Just understand that. I mean, it's because I know the effort you're putting in. I know how hard it is to be a college athlete. I know, and same with Brent. I said, listen, if you don't have to be a superstar. I mean, you don't, and I'm just as proud of you that I got to watch him practice every day. So I never was that close the part of his life until he got to college, because I was never around other than watching him on the game, right? So I'm never around the practicing. And so I'm proud of you the way you practice. It's awesome, and the effort you put into it, and the effort you did, you became a better student, and that's I know you want to make a bunch of play. I get it, but it's really, to me, it's, when you're a parent, it shouldn't be the most important thing. I'd sit in the stands with my daughter, and they knew I was a coach, right? And they knew I was a coach at Purdue. My daughter played for Purdue, and some of these dads who are, all these dads are travel softball coaches, and they're giving me plays, but they will sit next to me, give me a play-by-play, and I said, I know what's going on. Our coach is a Olympic gold medalist, and she should be doing this. She should be doing this. She should be doing that. I said, she's an Olympic gold medalist. She sees our kids every day in practice, and I'm sure she's trying to do what's best for the team. So just let's just leave it at that. And
spoken like a true coach.
Oh my God! And even when when kids get in streaks in those sports, and sometimes they're playing well and they're in the lineup. Sometimes they're not playing well, they're not hitting, they're not in the lineup, and they I don't know why you're. So it's not hitting. It's pretty simple. Hit the ball, and she starts hitting, she'll be back in the lineup. It's just the ebbs and flows of being a college athlete, and in the end, that's what makes who you are. How tough you are, and you have to have, life's going to throw a lot of tough things at you, like we said before, and hope it's not horrible for some guys and some gals, but unfortunately there are some bad things that happen to you, and you have to be able.
That will happen to all of us,
right? And your family's going to be looking at you. That's a whole different deal now, and it's you're responsible for these people, and I mean you're really responsible, and it's a whole different world now. And so I think that's what it teaches us. I
really want to be the person.
That's why I love football.
Great answer. I really want to be. I think it's important to be the person that people can rely on when disaster hits. Right. I think that's a valuable thing to be in. Right. We're winding down here. Beautifully put, by the way. Great answer. I just have a few questions for you. First, in as few words as possible, how's the season look coming up this year?
I think we have a chance to be pretty good. We're going to be better than we were a year ago. I'm pretty sure of that. Our quarterback's good. We got to keep him healthy. But I think we've made some improvements in certain parts of our program that I think are going to really help us this fall. I think we're pretty good.
Right on. Well, first question here for you. First rapid fire question. Who's the most talented player you've ever coached at ISU?
Trey Roberson.
What position did he play?
Quarterback.
What years?
He took us 14 and 15. He took us to the national championship game. I mean, he's part of it. He was probably the most talented college player we have here. I mean, we've had some guys who are pros, but as a college player, he was dynamite.
Most talented player you've ever coached, period.
Been around some great ones. Directly coached. I had several first rounders at Purdue, but I had a kid named Landon Johnson, who, in my opinion, was the best athlete, best football player I've ever coached. Now, he played 7 years in the league, and people hear who's Landon Johnson, but he was a third-round pick. He played for 4 years for Cincinnati. Was leading tackler. I think he played 2 or 3 years down in. He got traded. They got free agent and went to Carolina and played for 3 years. Got hurt, and I think he played about 7 total. But I mean, a great athlete and a great person, and smart, and the best. In my opinion, the best. I never saw him on the ground ever. No one, and there were linemen that the offensive linemen would mark guys that they cut, and he never ever was on the ground. He said, we'd never put him on the ground. Guy
what a stud.
Can't get him on the ground. He's like a cat. he walked in here. He said, that's an NFL player. He looks like a 2-guard in basketball. He's 6'1". He looks like he's 6'3", but he's about 6'1". Weighed about 212. So I weighed. He got up to 230 1 year in pro football. He said, "What'd you end up? 212." That's because of what he is. But man, he led. Like I said, he led Cincinnati in tackles for 4 straight years. Just a great athlete and just a tough, and just loved him.
Stud, yeah.
Stud. Great athlete.
Fastest kid on the ISU team right now.
Boys, I don't know.
I hope that whoever you say watches this.
I don't know. There's a kid named Jeff Bowens. He's a field corner. He's from Michigan. He can really run. We have a slot from Orlando, Florida, that can really run. I'm trying to think. Nigel White from Fort Lauderdale is very fast. I don't know, but I'd probably say if we're gonna race, and there's a lot of other guys who they can really run, but
they can probably all run to some extent.
All run, but Those guys are really fast, but there's some other fast guys that might even be faster. But I'd kind of put my money on Bowens, Jeff Bowens. He's not a very big guy, but he can fly now. He can really run. He's fast.
Well, congratulations,
Bowen. That'd be my bet.
Okay,
my guess.
How about the toughest kid on the team right now? That's a tougher question to answer.
A lot
I guess.
of tough ones.
I mean, just gritty, can hang forever.
I'm always going to lean towards linemen, because I think that's
those guys are tough.
Oh man, they're tough. Yeah, we got some tough guys. Drew Bones, our center, is a tough kid and rarely misses any practice or anything, and rarely hurt. He's just really, really gritty guy. Pete Basone from right here in Normal Community is a tough kid. He's not the tallest guy in the world, but he's really physical. I like the Deming twins are tough guys. I think the DN, because of where he plays, is a gritty guy. So I'd say those guys. I mean, we got a lot of tough guys.
2 more here. Favorite beer? If you drink beer.
I do. Spotted Cow.
Right on from Wisconsin. Is that Wisconsin?
Yeah,
that's Wisconsin.
There's one called Capital out of Madison. It's a pretty good beer. I like those beers, but I'd go with that if I probably won't. If we're gonna guess.
Right on. Last one here. Does your wife have any nicknames for you?
I'm trying to think.
Well, it must not be that common.
Not gonna say on air probably. No, not really.
What? Nothing? It's just Brock all the time?
Yeah, pretty much.
Not Brocky Poo or anything?
No. I tell you, she said that. I said, no, that's the end of that. Don't be saying that.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Bit of a lame question to end on, though. But
pretty lame. I'm sorry. I can't think of anything. I'll probably think of it when I drive to work.
Hey, that's no big deal. We just want honest answers here. But Brock Spack, hey, it's been a pleasure. It's been a lot of fun talking with you, and I appreciate your time today.
Well, thanks for having me on, Paul. I had a good time.
Absolutely. My pleasure. That's ISU head football coach Brock Spack. Thanks, everyone.